after I got the official diagnosis, there was a whole process similar to the grief process, because I tell people it was like meeting myself for the first time. So I actually stayed with that therapist, my wife and I, for 2 years to help me sort of unravel the complicated past, because the person who I thought I was not who everybody was experiencing. So I had to really work through that and realize that a lot of the guilt that I carried from relationships that ended, that I had no reason, no understanding why, I had to work through the process of holding myself responsible for things that I didn't know and didn't know how to fix. So it was a welcoming process. It was a lot of work. So I don't want people to get the impression I just got a diagnosis and everything was fine. No, it took me 2 years to work through understanding what that meant for my past and for my future.
Mm. Can you dig into that grief process? Because not only are you grieving and, like you said, kind of rediscovering who you are in light of this diagnosis, but also you have loved ones, you have your wife, and you have others who care for you, who
Hmm.
might also be grieving um, about missed opportunities from the past. And I think about also for parents listening in, and they might realize that maybe they have a child who might have autism and might be also going through a grieving time as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I think what people have to understand is natural. And sometimes when I say this, it's not necessarily popular, because I think people would really rather me say that everything was all good. Um, but it can be very traumatic, because you play a lot of tapes in your head about things that have happened over the years. Um, so so acknowledging that and having a therapist to help me walk through that was extremely helpful, because I wasn't left alone. And then there's a reality that there's different types of loss. Um, one of which, and I studied this years ago, one of which is called intrapsychic loss. It's the loss of the feeling of the dreams and hopes that you had, or even the impression of who you are and your space in the world. And all of that changed. And so for parents, just understand that that's it's a natural part of the process, although it doesn't mean that there's not a great and highest potential for your child to be able to reach. And so, I think it's first dealing with what is, so that you can shift and dream about what can be. Um, and so, just walking through that process and having somebody to walk with me through it was extremely helpful, because I don't imagine I would be able to reach any level of success that I've been able to reach without having to unravel all of that. And so it's very much similar to the grief process. And I spent years as a hospice chaplain, so I'm very familiar with that. It's not a direct line, so you're not going to go through it steps 1 through 5, um, and sometimes those things will circle back around too, especially as you get to milestones like prom and the first dates and driving and those types of things. If that becomes challenges for your child, so you're going to have to walk through that process. But I invite people to engage in it. Don't run from it, because on the other side of that is where you can really, really dream about what's possible for your child and then reaching their highest potential. But first, understanding that it may not be what you thought it would be, just like I was not the person that I thought I was. Um, but I am so much better because of that process. So I encourage parents and family members to lean in, and don't take it as a quote unquote death sentence. There's so much life on the other side of that that is possible.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out this video clip from the Delgado podcast. To get more videos like this, simply subscribe here on YouTube. You can also download the full episode of each show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or your favorite podcast player. Take care.